How's it going, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third party review. And today, the figure we're going to be reviewing is the Fanstoys, whatever this guy is called. I gotta review the rest of it, don't I? Fanstoys Jabber. To summarize this in another way, I'm about to do something that I really enjoy. Hello, everybody. With something that I really don't enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong, this figure looks fantastic. I mean, this is just a really, really good visual interpretation of this character. This is Fanstoys Jabber, their take on Blur, and this figure really exemplifies a lot of the good and the bad that I have with Fanstoys. First and foremost, the good. This figure looks amazing. The paint apps are nice and clean, but like the entire figure's not covered in paint. You know, like all this baby blue here and this gray, that's all plastic colors. This purple, all this purple, or it's not really purple. It's kind of a, I don't know. It's a dark blue, maybe a little bit purple. It's all paint. And it looks good. I don't have any problems with it. No chipping, no scratching. It's all been fantastic. It's, you know, it's just, this figure is a complete pain in the ass to transform. And that's really what it comes down to. I've been telling people for years now, what I really think that Fanstoys should do is build a line of high-end, high articulation, high detail, high, whatever you want to put in high, basically action masters, really show accurate, posable, really good-looking, robust figures. They've got the skills to do that, and they'd be able to, save a lot of money, and people would put them on the shelves, and they would look great because nobody ever transforms Fanstoys. And this figure is the perfect example of why. But we'll get into that in further depth in just a little bit. I think that, this figure right here, he costs what, like $100 or something like that? 110, depending on where you go. And, I mean, he's, yay tall and, fairly articulate and whatnot. If you didn't have all the engineering to transform him into a, car-ish, then he'd cost maybe $40 tops. People could save a lot of money by buying a Fanstoys action figure instead of buying a Fanstoys transformer, even though they're never going to transform it, So, I don't know. Anyhow, so here he is, Jabber. He's actually a really good figure. He looks great. He comes with some accessories, one of which being this guy here, who is a target master. Well, I'll get into him just a little bit. Let's talk about his other accessories real quick. He comes with this gun here, which looks pretty decent. Fanstoys has a real habit of painting their weapons all in one color, which makes them look kind of bland. But aside from that, I mean, the sculpting on it is great. Just Masterpiece style peg goes into his fist. Goes, yeah, there we go. Goes into his fist. Holds it fine. Same with his other gun. Again, also, this one is all in silver. The other one had a little bit of gunmetal on it and like a vent or something. The sculpt is great on this. It just, being all in silver just looks a bit bland. A little bit of color, a little bit of different shades of, gray or something, or black, or maybe a touch of like red or blue would have really made this like pop, But there he is holding both of his guns. He holds them just fine. let's talk really quickly about this guy because he is an accessory basically for the robot mode. So let's get into him real quick. He is a target master. In terms of articulation, his head is on a swivel. Swivels just nicely. A little bit of silver, a little bit of blue on his face. Face sculpt is pretty decent. Shoulders are on a ball joint here in the shoulder that allows for a range of rotation like so, all the way around. He's got a hinge right here, allows it to go out all the way. So the combined motion of that joint is like, which is great. He's got, again, the same sort of configuration for his elbow, ball joint, and a hinge. So ball joint allows for a motion like that. Straighten his arm out fully. So we're just looking at that one joint like that. He's got a hinge here that moves like that. The ball joint allows for like a rotation, like a bicep rotation, and the full bend of that will go this much. He does have a little peg right there on his forearm that hinders his motion somewhat. This arm has no peg and gets slightly more motion out of that. If you untab his barrel slightly, he does have a waist articulation. You can kind of, no, you really can't bullshit an ab crunch out of that. He can shrug. Yeah. Waist articulation works great. Hips are ball joints, goes forward that much, goes backwards that much, goes out for the full Van Damme. He's got his knee is a hinged ball joint just like all of his other joints. So, I mean, you can bend it backwards. You can bend it pretty deeply, fully, like so. Posability on him is great. Ankle articulation, again, it's a little ball joint. You get some motion forwards and back, some tiltage there. Fairly good amount of posability on him. I mean, I'm not in love with this figure. I've got Legends class figures that I like way more than this guy, but this guy is not a figure. He's just an accessory. And so let's get him transformed up. One thing that has me scratching my head about this guy is there's a peg right there, and there's a corresponding hole right there, and these fit together just perfectly. But if you follow the instructions, gasp, I know I followed the instructions on something. They don't go into anything. I'll show you. So you turn his head around, you flip this up, you flip his arms backwards, backwards like so. You take his waist joint, his legs, flip them around at the ball joint on the knee. They peg together, like so. Straighten his feet out. Then you just kind of bend him here and bend at his knee hinges, not the ball joints, at the hinges. There's a couple like pseudo tabs on his heels. They don't actually tab in anything. They just kind of fit into these alignment points right here. And that's it. That's him in his gun mode. Completely uninspired gun mode, but I mean, this is based off of a 1980s Transformer gun mode where, I mean, the entire Target Master figure was like, what, 4 parts, 5 parts maybe? It was a very, very simplistic design that it's based off of. So you can expect it to be a very simplistic figure. So nothing really bad in that regard. Tab system, just like before, doesn't quite fit the way it does. I don't know, that works out fairly well. Tabs in, it works. His arm just went loose on me. His arm has not been loose on me all this time. I haven't had this problem with him at all. But his arm just went loose on me. That's lame. I'm sorry. I mean, I described this figure to a buddy of mine as a beautiful disaster because it's a really good looking figure, but goddamn, it's got its flaws. Alright, articulation on this guy. Head is on a ball joint. Rotates around just fine. A little bit of clear plastic right there in his forehead. no backlight on it or light piping on it or anything like that. Um, Actually, he comes with an alternate face. Let me see if I can pull that out of a box real quick. Yeah, there we go. Alternate face is kind of the horrified, somebody touched my balls kind of a look. So, after the mishap I had with the last Fanstoys figure I reviewed, where his face went flying across my entire freaking room and landed behind the cabinet, I'm not going to repeat that. You can also remove this. I don't really want to do it, but you can remove this window here and insert a clear window. Why you don't want to do that is beyond me, because nothing's behind here except, toy engineering. I mean, you'd flip that out, and then all of a sudden you're looking at the insides of his chest, which is not the most visually appealing part of him. So, I don't know, but it's an option, and options are pretty good to have. If somebody wants to put a clear window on them, power to them. Power to them. Also, his head doesn't ever really want to stay tabbed, so keep that in mind as you mess with his head if you get this figure. Arms go all the way around like so. I'm probably making this loose. I should probably stop. Go out that far. Not really far, but it's just kind of, there's no pull out or anything like that to give him like a really full range of motion there, which is kind of a bummer, but this guy is crazily engineered, so you'll see. Double joint at the elbow gives him basically the full range right there, which is great. It actually works out really wonderfully. Wrist joint rotates as you do. All of the fingers are on one joint, no thumb joint. Opens and closes for holding his gun. Waist joint, nice solid ratchet there. A little doodad here you can move around. He comes with a butt flap, a premium butt flap as it moves out of the way. Nice. He also comes with a premium dick plate to some degree, but it kind of sucks because it's just all one solid dick plate. And so you move up about that far, and that's about all you're going to get out of it unless you're willing to detach it and move it completely out of the way. Then he can kick up all the way back, move out for about 112% Van Damme. This dick plate here is on like a double hinge system with like a hinge in the middle somewhere. It reminds me of the DX9 Astra Trains dick plate in that regard, though it doesn't work nearly as well as DX9 managed to make theirs work. Upper bicep, or sorry, not bicep, the leg bicep, the thicep, the thicep motion here works just fine. Double bend at the knee for the full bend right there. Really, really nice there. And no ratchets here, but they feel nice and strong. Granted, I mean, ooh, whoa, he's coming apart. Coming apart. See, if this guy was an action master, you wouldn't have to worry about him coming apart. You could just pose and display him to your heart's content, and it wouldn't be any kind of problem, because nobody's going to transform him. Anyhow, what was I saying? Legs. Legs are great. Legs will possibly loosen up over time, but I mean, there's ways to fix that. I don't know. This one's a screw that can be tightened easily. This lower one's a pin that will give you some more challenges or whatnot. A little bit of rock on the ankles, not very much at all, just a tiny bit, and a little bit front and back as well. So he's got some bend, he's got some posability. He's not a bad figure. As action figures go, he's really not bad. If this was all that there was to him, I'd be like, yeah, he's great. buy him, put him on your shelf, display him with the other figures. He's a great display figure. Let's get down to transformation. This is the part that I've been dreading. This is the part that I've been putting off. I really don't want to do this. I transformed this guy from his robot mode into his car mode, and I hated it. Then I transformed him from his car mode into his robot mode, and I hated it even more. My friend is going to want this in robot mode, so I have to transform him at least 2 more times for you guys. Once for the review, and then back into robot mode again, and I'm hating my life right now. Alright, let's get this done. No pussing out on this. So, let's do the arms first. What you want to do, we're just going to take and we're going to bend his arm sideways. That'll pop this out. Be able to bring all of his innards out on this double joint. You're going to take this blue panel here, fold that in, fold that in. Close up his hand. This whole part is going to kind of flip out like that. Sorry, I'm just doing a little bit of experimentation here. Seeing if there's different ways for his hand to want to go. But I think that's really the way it wants to go. It's just like that. Just like normal. So you flip all of this out. You're going to take this piece right here and kind of flip it out a little bit. And then this kind of slides and you'll align that back into place. This is going to click back in and kind of align up like this. But you're really not going to do anything with it for right now. So let's do this to the other side here. Bring his arm out, break his elbow, flip this panel out, fold all of this crap out, fold, insert, do the thing with the arm, flip this part out. And there we got it. And he's all done. Yay. No, I wish. Okay. Unpeg his backpack here. There's a little tab here that you're going to fold up. What we want to do while this is out here like this, we want to take this little flippy part right here and flip that all the way up. And then yank on the panel that it's attached to. Flip that all the way back as far as it will go. Also with the front of his chest, there's this control panel detail here. Also no detail paint on that little control panel, which is really kind of a bummer. It would have looked great with some painted on details. That really needs to come out, but it looks like it's not going to go out from here, so we're just going to have to pull on this and push on from the other side. So with this folded all the way out and this panel folded all the way out, we can take his head and kind of swing it around. That's not how it wants to go. I may have just steered you guys wrong. Because this panel doesn't want... No, it's flipping around. Okay, so I turned his head around. There's a little hole right here. And this forehead peg is going to fit right into that hole. Just like so. And that's going to line up all of this crap here. It's going to pretend to look like a seat, even though it's not really going to do that. You're going to take this panel here and fold this back down. And try to get everything to just fit together solidly. And it will. And then you want to take these little panels here and collapse them in like so. Alright, that part is fairly done. there's these little cover-up panels right here. You're going to fold them up like that. There's one on the other side as well. We're going to take his waist and we're going to rotate this all around. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of this section here, fold it down as much as it'll go, and pull this chest with it like this. And then you're going to rotate just this section here like that. Great, great. Now you're going to take this panel here and you're going to rotate that. And you got this little tab right here that's folded in. You're going to fold that out. And then that is just kind of feed into this slot. And that's just going to peg in like its life depends on it. Like it really goes in there solidly. Take this little panel out here and fold this out. It'll kind of click into place. It'll click into place quite comfortably. All right. We are getting somewhere with this. All right, so you want to take this panel here, his butt flap, fold this up, kind of fold this up. It's going to come up in here, but we're not going to deal with that quite yet. You want to take his legs, collapse his thighs together like this. We're going to open up his leg. So kind of take this panel and yank on it. And that'll help you kind of start to move all this other crap out of the way. This little panel here is the literal devil, and it folds out just like that, and this folds out like that. That's going to separate this shin and foot. We'll fold that heel in right there and fold this foot flat. That'll separate the shin and the foot from the metal strut on the inside of the leg, so you can take this and kind of combiner wars it up like that. So now we're getting into the point where there's some nuance in here. You want to take this panel here, fold out these fins, and rotate this around. When this goes together, it's going to come in like this. But right now we're just going to leave that open. So we're going to do this with the other leg right here. Fold this out. Get that kind of out of the way. Take the literal devil right here. Fold this out. Fold this little panel out right there. Combiner wars up his leg. Oh, and I forgot to do his foot. We'll just do his foot real quick. All right, now we're getting somewhere. You want to take this little blue abstraction here, and you're just going to kind of fold it down like that. It fills in this gap right here. You see this like weird shaped gap on the back of this blue panel? This dark blue area fills in that gap. See, now it's gone. And that's just for robot mode. That's what that's for. You want to take these and kind of fold them back like this. And then what we got to do is what basically constitutes a minor miracle. Well, this isn't the miracle. This is just me delaying the inevitable, because I know I'm going to have to deal with it sooner rather than later, and I don't really want to. What we have to do is we have to do one of these Fanstoys thingamajigs where this piece is going to have to go in like this, and this piece is going to have to go around it, but it can't go around it until this piece is in place, and once this piece is in place, it blocks that one. So there's like some like magical way that these are supposed to be done at the same time, and damned if I know. And this is the absolute worst. So I'm going to do my best. We're going to try and make this work. I've kind of got this tucked underneath that blue area right there. And we're just going to kind of pretend that everything is going to work out and pray that it does. And I'm sorry that I don't have a more effective way of solving this problem than that. Holy shit. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to point out that this is actually the easiest possible time I've ever had with it. Normally, when you turn the camera on, everything becomes worse. But for some inexplicable reason, that actually became easier. To some degree. Now let's see if this piece wants to tab in. And if it doesn't, I'm really not going to be upset, because this tab right here is the biggest pain in the ass to get untabbed ever. Like, honestly, transforming this into its vehicle mode, like, was its own little nightmare. But just undoing this one tab, I think it was the one on this side. Man, I don't remember which one it was. I've blocked it out of my memory. It was the absolute worst. So we're going to try and plug this in, because I hate myself. That's going to be a lot of work for me later. But that one plugged in. Let's see if I can get the other side to plug in. I didn't before, so fingers crossed, I guess. Alright, here we go. Let's see if I can make lightning strike twice with this devil panel here. Alright, so tuck this into here. Tuck this into here. Kind of throw all this into place. Basically, the thing is that, and the problem is that this whole side needs to all come together at the same moment. And there's really not a good way to do that. Wow, that actually went together easier than I thought it would have as well. It still doesn't want to tab together. Well, that saves me the trouble of untabbing it later. Alright, so I stuck these little panels here together. You're going to bring them around and plug them into that. You're going to take this panel here and push on it with your thumb so that it clicks into place. And this one as well. Push on it with your thumb, because it kind of slides on here. And you want to slide it. It'll only robot mode when it's slid up, but it'll only vehicle mode when it's slid down, so. Maybe I can compound my leverage with this? Yeah, that helped me, I guess. And one thing that I haven't been able to do yet, but I'm going to do it right now, is just pull these little blue panels out. It's not that these are hard or anything like that, it's just that they get in the way earlier and it's so easy to pull them out later. So that's the way I do it. Why make things harder if you don't need to? And there he is in his vehicle mode. And I'll be honest with you, his vehicle mode, again, looks great. Fanstoys has got, whoa. This right here, 2 pegs, 2 slots. Plug that in. Okay, done. So, Fanstoys has a long track record of making figures that look great in robot mode and look great in vehicle mode and are just a complete bitch to transform. And this is absolutely no exception. In fact, this may once again define that whole concept. He is Blur. His underbody needs some work. I mean, he's not a terrible looking figure. I don't know that he necessarily looks better than the DX9 version of Blur. So there's that. I will tell you that this alt mode does not look good enough to justify the frustration involved in transforming it. And so on that regard, I would say, dude, just leave him in robot mode. Nobody transforms Fanstoys ever. And this is part of the reason why, because they're just a complete nightmare. He's got a little slot right here. You can take your pick of which gun you'd like to plug in down there. You can plug in this gun right here. Or you can plug in this gun right here. Or not. It doesn't seem to want to go. Oh, yeah, it does. There's this little peg on the other side. Ha 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 ha. I knew about that. Yeah, you can plug in that gun right there. Or you can plug in this guy here. Oh, wait. Again, fold that handle in. All of them look fairly ridiculous. I would even go so far as to say that all of them look equally ridiculous, though I think the Target Master looks a little more ridiculous than normal. He's got a nice heft to him. He's, I don't know. He's got some nice smooth lines. It's really thin, kind of goes out. It just starts to turn janky, you know. And you've got just really obvious seams and like this like really big gap that comes in between the shin and this nightmare panel here. And like has got a whole freaking leg hanging off the bottom of it. You know, if this piece just came off, you know, his alt mode would look much better. No wheels or anything like that. He's a floaty vehicle. No place to plug in a stand or anything like that. So you just have to use your imagination that he's a floaty vehicle. Due to the way that the knees are done, he actually sits really solidly. And if you have it up at an angle, he looks like he's floating. It's actually a pretty decent effect. Which makes me wonder if maybe that was an intentional design choice to put kind of a narrow, you know, base section in here where he would sit. I don't know. If I was to get this figure, I wouldn't want to transform him ever. And then I'd question why I spent $100 on a transformer that I don't transform. So that's definitely a question you'll have to ask yourself if you're, you know, a Fanstoys fanboy and you decide to get this. So, but anyhow, that's my review of the Fanstoys Jabber. I mean, Fanstoys makes a pretty decent figure. I don't know that I would justify it on just the grounds of the name alone, especially since DX9 has made such a good offering themselves, which still is a good figure to this date, and you know is not super impossible to get. So, all things to think in mind. I personally am waiting to see like New Age make a blur. I know that DX9 made a blur way back in the day. That was actually on their first Legends-sized offering. But if they make a New Age blur, it's gonna be pretty good. I'm super stoked for that right now. But you know, anybody who watches my channel knows that I'm a complete sucker for Legends scale figures. But everybody, thanks for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everybody, stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.